Hey guys, it's Alec Torelli, and welcome back to the Hand of the Day, right here from New York City. So at the end of this video, be sure to go over to my blog, alectorelli.com. There's a link right in the description where you'll get even more insight and information into this hand, stuff that I don't have time or can't share here on this video for you in YouTube. Some really cool math behind the hand and some more insight that I share only on my blog, so be sure to check that out. So this hand comes from Jeff in Taiwan, who submitted this hand on my Hello Alec channel. So, Hello Alec, I'm doing my last episode this week. I'm taking a break for the holidays. I'm coming back at the beginning of next year with some new additions to that, so I'm really excited for that, and thank you guys so much for your awesome feedback and participating. You guys have made the show awesome. So, that being said, Hand of the Day will still be going on every week as normal, so stay tuned for that. Check back on the blog, and that'll be going on soon. All right, so this week's hand comes from Jeff in Taiwan. He's playing a local cash game, and he is in the small blind with Queen Jack offsuit, and it gets raised under the gun. It gets 4 callers, and Jeff says that his logic for calling in the small blind was that it was his last hand of the night. He was going to quit on the button, and he decided to play a hand because, you know, he was about to quit. He felt like playing a hand. So one thing here is that a lot of times people change their decision-making process at the end of a session. Either they're up a lot of money and they play tighter because they want to lock up the win, or they're stuck and they play looser, or in Jeff's case, it's their last hand. I have a decent hand. I'm just going to go ahead and play it. So to use an analogy to help show you why this is not a good idea is think about another sport and imagine if it was the final point of a tennis match or the final shot of a basketball game. If you are a good player, a winning team, or whatever it is, you're going to adopt a strategy in that moment that's the same as what you've been doing all the time. You don't need to reinvent the wheel or try and change things up just because it's a crucial moment. In fact, the opposite is true. If it's the last hand you're playing of the night, it's even more of a reason to just play the way you would have played. And I think getting out of line or trying to do something different for some sort of arbitrary reason isn't really the way you should be making your strategy decisions. So I don't really like that that's the logic we're using here. So I would just end up folding this hand like I would every other hand and play it the exact same, pack up my chips and leave. I wouldn't quit on the button as Jeff was doing. I'd quit before my big blind to get those free hands in. But that being said, back to the hand at play here. If I was going to play this hand out of the small blind with 5 people in the pot, even though you are getting a great price to play the hand, you only have to call $7, and the pot's very big, you're out of position against an under-the-gun open and a good player who called immediately to his left, followed by a domino effect of other players. So you're really putting yourself in a compromising spot here by playing this hand out of position, even if you do have good odds to call. I would definitely, my default play would be to fold this hand, and my second choice would be to 3-bet. And if I was going to 3-bet, I would need a compelling reason to do so. So I would need the under-the-gun player to be opening a lot and folding a lot, and I would need to know that the guy that called to his immediate left was not going to be calling a 3-bet. And I think that you don't really have those things going in your favor. Usually when people call opens in early position from an early position raiser, they generally have a good hand. And I think that you're not going to get your 3-bet through often enough unless you have a certain image or it's a certain table. So I would probably fold this hand. That being said, you called it, and sometimes you got to play a hand even if you end up making a mistake. You're faced with another decision. So let's go to the flop. The flop comes King, Queen, Jack with 2 clubs, and you decide to check. I mean, in this spot, I might decide to lead this hand here, just because giving a free card is very bad, and given that you're going to put money in the pot anyway with a check call, you could take control of the hand and not allow your opponents to have a free card and sort of not let them bet a worse hand by betting yourself. And I think you're going to give yourself more chances to win the pot and not be in such a tough position by leading. If you check, you can't really check raise, so you're forced to check call. So I would probably just go ahead and lead this hand. I would be folding to a raise. I think your leading range here should be strong enough that you have enough hands that are nutted that you can continue with, that you could fold this hand safely. Anyway, we check. It gets checked to the original caller, the first caller, the guy who you said is a really good player, and he goes ahead and bets. We decide to check call, and he actually bets pretty much on the small side. So we have an easy check call here. We're getting great odds. We have a good hand. We go to the turn, which is an 8 of spades. And again, this is a complete blank, so I might actually lead here again. It's not a bad spot to lead. You don't really want to give him a free card, and you're going to be check calling another bet anyway, so I'm not terribly opposed to leading. And I think your range is strong enough here that you can lead successfully without worrying about being exploited. But we go ahead and check. Our only play here is really to check call, and we can't really check raise at this point. It's just too crazy. So it's kind of one of those spots where you realize quickly on the flop that there are so many cards that hurt you that it gives more credence to folding the hand pre-flop, but also maybe leading earlier on in the hand, because if any 10, 9, ace, king, or club come, you're forced to check fold, and that's pretty much half the deck. So even though you flopped a pretty good hand, you're so vulnerable that you're just in such a compromising spot out of position against a good player who called a raise in early position. So we're kind of just hanging on here. We're hanging on at the fence, just hoping that we get through the hand. So we go ahead and check call. The river comes a 9, which is one of those bad cards for us. Any 10 completes a straight. It makes it really unlikely that he value bets a worse hand, and we basically can get bluffed off the hand and are forced to fold. So we go ahead and check. Our opponent goes all in, which he's basically representing a 10 or nothing. But there are a decent amount of 10s in his range. He could have king 10, queen 10, king 10, queen 10, jack 10, 10 9, 10 8, ace 10. He could have a club draw with a 10. So we're really forced to fold here, which again is why I don't like playing the hand in the first place or playing it out of position with just a check call. We go ahead and fold, and he turns over 2 3s, which I think is simply too loose. I think he should not be betting the flop with this hand, and I think he shouldn't be betting the turn with this hand. Of course, I guess betting the river is fine, but he played the hand a little bit too aggressively, I think long term, but still, we got outplayed. We just really don't have many choices. So tough spot to play, my man. Go back to that sound strategy that you adopted the entire session, and I believe that's going to win you more money. Don't try and change things up just because it's your last hand. Do something tricky just for the sake of doing it. But anyway, great hand. Thank you for sharing it with me. If you guys have more hands that you would like me to review for you guys, please send them to me on my blog, alectorelli.com. And be sure you head over to my blog after this video. There's a link in the description below where I share even more insight and information into this hand as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.
I'm so in love with you. I knew from the start.